What if I told you there was one tip, one thing you could do today that would allow you to level up your saltwater fly fishing expertise? One thing that's free, easy, fast, requires no learning, no practice, and will take you to another level where you can fight fish better, lose less fish, catch more fish, release fish in better condition so that you're a better conservationist. One thing. Take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt, and I know it's just my opinion, but it is not an unfounded opinion, and those are different things. So here it is. Put your reel handle on the other side. Take your reel handle and put it on the side that you cast with. If you're right-handed, your reel handle should be on the right side. If you're left-handed, it should go the other way. Now, before you start yelling in the comments, I have a couple of caveats. First, if you're truly ambidextrous, ignore this. But since less than 1% of the world's population is truly ambidextrous, and the chances of any one of those watching this video is like nil, I'm gonna say I'm not worried about it. If you grew up in the salt and you've been saltwater fly fishing in Florida or Texas or the East Coast or whatever for your whole life, and you're doing it on a regular basis, not like you occasionally go fishing, but you've been doing it on a regular basis catching fish, then what are you even on this channel for? Like, you don't need any of this. Stop what you're doing, go fishing. This isn't for you. But if you're just now getting into fly fishing and you haven't yet made up your mind about a lot of tackle and you're looking for tips and tricks, then this video is for you. For everybody else, I know I'm not gonna convince you. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to use logic and reason and sound arguments. But again, none of this matters. Anyways, here goes. The first thing you need to know is there is no reason really why your reel handle is on one side or another. If you started off as a spin fisherman, then your reel handle is probably on the left side because that's just how they were made. If on the other hand you started off like I did, blue water, marlin, tuna, wahoo, and you're fishing from a boat trolling, then the reel handle is on the right side. Because there's almost not a Penn International or Penn Senator in the world that was built left-handed. That's custom order. Because 90% of the people in the world are right-handed, and so you put the reel on the right-hand side because you want your dominant, coordinated, strongest hand in charge of the reel when you're fighting a sea monster. And that's what these fish are, man. Don't get it twisted. Bonefish, tarpon, permit, redfish, they're all sea monsters. You know how fast the bonefish swims? 32 feet per second, over 25 miles an hour. That means if you have a 90 foot of fly line out and you make a 60-foot cast and you hook a fish, all of your line is cleared in under a second. That's so fast that you don't have time to react. And that's where a lot of people lose fish. And they lose fish because the handle is on the left side, they're clearing line and a loop jumps up around it, fish gone. Quick as that. I've seen it. I've seen it so many times. I've done it. So in other words, what I'm saying is, if you're a spin fisherman that migrated over to fly fishing, you never actually chose what side of the reel your handle goes on. It was chosen arbitrarily for you. I can hear you now thinking, well, if I'm used to fishing and reeling left-handed, spin fishing should not translate to fly fishing. In logic, this is called a false equivalency. Two things that seem related but aren't, and you use one to, argue for the other one. Here's the reality. A spinning reel and a fly reel kind of are opposite things. Let's start with the fact that a spinning reel has gears and a retrieve ratio, 6-to-1, 9-to-1, 11-to-1. That means that every time I turn the crank on the handle of my spinning rod, the spool spins between 6 and 11 times. Also, the diameter of the circle that I'm prescribing as I reel is much larger because you have the lever of the handle. Now, a fly reel has no gear retrieve ratios. It's a 1-to-1. Every time I take a crank, I pick up one rotation of line. That's it. When a fish runs, it pulls one rotation of line, which brings me to the second point. Spinning reels are anti-reverse. So what that means is if you're holding onto the handle and a fish runs, nothing happens. There's no consequence to that. The spools, the clutch engages and the spool just spins and the fish runs off. Again, opposite of a fly reel. If you're on a fly reel and the fish runs, as soon as the fish runs, the reel rotates in the other way. Do you want your non-dominant hand, your stupid hand, in charge of that when a fish goes from 0 to 32 feet per second and you can't get your hand off in time? Again, I've seen it many times. People bring their own gear, hook a fish. Bonefish have two tricks: run away from you as fast as they can, and then they run back at you. And when they run back at you, they run back pretty quick. You're trying to keep tight, you're trying to keep tight, you're trying to keep tight. It's a big belly in the line now because you're peddling squares with your non-dominant hand. Fish is coming back, big bow in the line, all of a sudden it reaches and starts taking off in the other direction, and you can't get your hand off the reel in time. And you either break off the fish, break your knuckles, or both. Again, happens all the time. So that's why spinning reels and fly reels are dead opposite. So it's a non-equivalency. But I hear you. I hear what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, look, if I've been practicing spin fishing and then fly fishing all left-handed, doesn't that mean I have more practice? No, you don't. Because you actually haven't been practicing reeling up with your left hand. Not really, because you've never been pushed to the limit of what that means. Like I said, bonefish, which is one of the smaller flat species that you're going to chase, swim at 25 to 30 miles an hour. And they'll do that for 100 to 200 yards. A big bonefish over 7 pounds, 200 yards of backing, gone. On 20-pound test, on a 9-weight, gone. Now you got to reel that fish back up. Now, you've never had that. You've never had to do that, to reel up as fast as you can, 200 yards with your non-dominant, weak, stupid hand. When that fish gets back to you, you're not fast enough to get your hand off the reel in time. So let's dispense with that. You actually haven't been practicing. You've been practicing, but not to the maximum of your ability for that particular skill, reeling up fast. As soon as you switch over to your right hand, it'll take you about 30 seconds and you'll already be reeling faster than you were with your left hand. In fact, it was so well known that all the reel manufacturers, the major ones, when they manufactured a reel that was 8-weight and over, so 8 to 12, they came automatically right hand retrieve. Before the advent of online purchasing, online shopping, you had to custom order from the manufacturer a left hand retrieve reel. And if you were lucky enough to have a fly shop in your neighborhood and you went to that fly shop and you bought a reel from them and you bought it 8-weight or up, they would just hand you a right hand retrieve reel. And if you said to them, hey, I retrieve left handed, they would be like, no, you don't. Not in the salt, you don't. And they would explain to you the exact same things that I just explained to you. Now, these saltwater manufacturers also weren't making it up. The fly companies weren't making it up. Ted Jurassic, who was the original machinist and still owns T-Bore reels, tells a wonderful story that you can hear on Millhouse podcast. I'll try to put a link below. And he talks about working with world record breaker tarpon anglers who would take those reels from him, use them for a season and send them back. And that's how they developed. And you know what those guys did? They were right-handed and they reeled right-handed. So yeah, those manufacturers weren't just making it up. They got it from the professionals. The professionals were their advisors. They advised them how to make it. And they knew that like you're gonna have more luck, more results if you put it on the correct side. I've been guiding fishing in saltwater for over 25 years. And I've caught fish everywhere from Hawaii to Honduras. The first bonefish I ever hooked in the Florida Keys was on Shell Key, if that gives you some idea. Largest tarpon I've ever caught was on a 9-weight over 100 pounds. Guided people to their first tarpon, guided people to their first permit, guided hundreds of people to their first bonefish. And I'm saying all that just to get out of the way any question about my expertise and my experience. But the tip that I'm going to share with you today is not something that I came up with. It's not something I invented. All the OG flats gangsters knew it. Lefty Kreh and Flip Pallot and Chico Fernandez and Jose Wajebe, Andy Mills, Rob Fordyce. Rod Hamilton knew it when he wrote this book and he wrote DIY Flats Fishing. Thomas McGain knew it back in the day when he made his appearance on the now new old video that Yeti's putting out called Tarpon. And he wrote The Longest Silence, which is by far the best description of chasing tarpon, bonefish, and permit ever put into words. If you haven't read it and you're a fly fishing fanatic like I am, stop what you're doing right now, get on your Amazon Prime or go down to your local bookstore, whatever, and order you a copy of The Longest Silence. You won't regret it. But where I rediscovered this secret was here, on the cover of this. Now, for you millennials out there, this is called a magazine. It is printed on a stuff called paper. It doesn't come in episodes, but it does come in volumes. This is the March and April volume of 2000. On the cover is Lefty Kreh, Flip Pallot, and Bill Bishop, all catching apparently giant tarpon in the Florida Keys. And right behind that tarpon's head is a clue to the secret. Now, if you don't know who those people are, then you've got some homework to do. All the OG guys were the people who started this. We're talking like Lefty Kreh and Chico and Flip were sanding down 220-pound test monofilament to make shooting heads for fly lines so they could fish for tarpon on the bridges. They were floating inflatable mattresses out into the cuts in Biscayne Bay to fish for tarpon, bonefish, permit, and giant jacks back in the day. And all those guys either had Saturday morning TV shows or they wrote for these magazines. There was like 2 or 3 back in the day. That one was Fly Fishing in Saltwater. There was also Saltwater Fly Fishing. There was a few other ones. I think now the only survivor is the Drake, which is also an excellent publication. But those OG guys knew this secret. And I'm not just doing this to drag this out so that you'll like watch more of this. I don't care. This is screaming into the void anyway. I mean, I think like 18 people are going to watch this probably. And YouTube now is just, you know, a bunch of us screaming into the void. I want you to know that this doesn't matter. None of this matters. This is all just a game, man. Fly fishing is just a game. We're just playing a game that we made up the rules for, by the way. In fact, we took something fishing, which was already difficult enough, and we added more rules to it. Just arbitrary. We're going to use this thing. It's a primitive stick, but it costs $1,000, and we're going to have a spool. It's not going to be a reel, like a proper reel. It's just going to be a spool that holds line, and when fish runs, the handle spins, and when it's a whole thing. And that's fine. That's what makes it fun and interesting, and you should fish in whatever way that you want to fish. Without spin fishing, handline fishing, deep sea, blue water, it doesn't matter. I remember one time being in the comment section of some blog or something, and somebody was giving some dude crap for drinking scotch the wrong way. You know, I can't remember. They were telling him he wasn't adding water. He was adding water. He was putting it over ice. He wasn't putting it, whatever. They were crapping all over how he drank scotch as if it mattered. And one of the other dudes commented, he said, listen, man, don't let these people get you down. You drink scotch whatever way you want to drink scotch. If you want to take your 12-year Macallan and mix it with strawberry Kool-Aid and drink it out of the belly button of your partner, then that is the correct way to do it. Because it's all about just getting your kicks, man. And that's all the fly fishing is. Anyway, I know I'm not going to really convince anybody, and it's fine. Again, this doesn't matter. None of this matters. It's just fly fishing. At the end of the day, I hope you go out there and have a good time. But if maybe you're in the mood to learn today and you want to have a better time, just try. Take one of your reels, put the handle on the other side. I know it takes a tiny amount of work to pull off all your fly line, pull off all your back end, and switch the little gears or the little lever or the little clutch that's inside. But it's not a big deal. And if you got a local fly shop and you're lucky enough to still have one, it's a good excuse to go down there and have them do it for you. Maybe replace your backing, get a new fly line, buy a couple of more boxes of something. That's it for right now. That's my rant for today. I appreciate you listening, those of you who have. Until next time, Stay salty, my friends.